It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendu. It's day 20 days since over 200 girls were kidnapped from a secondary school in Chibok, Borno State, and we still don't know their whereabouts. Things have gotten even vaguer as the days pass by. Figures continue to change every day. Where we hear claims about some of them being married off and going across Nigeria's borders, and those claims seem to be getting stronger by the day. The tale of events just continues to get shadier by the day as against things getting clearer, and it's become more worrisome today than it was the day after it happened. On the good side, this week, the week that was, threw up a lot of interesting scenarios. A hashtag surfaced on Twitter and on social media generally, "Bring Back Our Girls," which sort of prompted international media to pay more attention to the issues, which then sort of prompted government as well to do more than they have been doing, and issues have become a little more forcefully faced than they were before. The First Lady is even getting involved. Mr. President has set up a committee, but we're going to talk about all of that later on the show. That's going to be our focus on the issue today, so please do stay with us for that. But of course, we also do hear that Mr. President will be having a presidential media chat at 7 p.m. today. We do not have an idea what he's going to be talking about, if he's going to be talking about insecurity or the World Economic Forum, which is going to be holding next week. But we're just going to keep our televisions on for that, of course, because everybody seems to be very, very worried as things are now. Another bombing happened in Nyanya at the beginning of the week, second across the road from where it happened the last time. So it looks like things are getting even worse, and the security operatives don't seem to have a lot of answers to give us. Speaking of the World Economic Forum, it's going to be starting on Wednesday, the 7th of May, and it's going to run for 3 days in the capital city of Abuja. And interestingly, we did hear that a public holiday has been declared in that city to keep streets free for our visitors who are going to be coming in to discuss Nigeria's economy. It's sort of ironic to say that the economy is going to be ground to a halt for the economy to be discussed. And we're going to be looking at all of that as well when we go into our topic for today. But please do stay with us. Like I say, we're going to be discussing the Bring Back Our Girls campaign and all of the demonstrations and protests that happened across Nigeria in the last week. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. Now, over the last week, Nigerians took to the streets across several cities, from Lagos to Abuja to Ilorin to Kano and several other places, to demonstrate against government sort of inaction, or at least lack of communication with regards to the over 200 girls who were kidnapped at the government secondary school Chibok in Borno State. I have two special guests here with me to talk about all the issues that have come up since that abduction happened. Yemi Adamolekun, Enough is Enough Nigeria, very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And of course, Adebola Williams of the Future Nigeria Project. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
There's so many things to talk about. I don't even know where to start. Let's start with the fact that we don't know how many girls have been taken. And I think that's my biggest worry in all of this. And my biggest worry since the Boko Haram issues have started. We never seem to agree on human statistics. Some say 19 died at Nyanya. I heard 17 somewhere else. I heard 9 somewhere else. And these are human lives. With the girls now, we started with 176. Then it became 234. Then 2 days ago, I heard 276. Then we hear 40 have escaped. Then we hear 56 have escaped. What is happening?
It's just security agencies not talking to themselves. I mean, I think it was just 2 days ago that WAEC released the number of people that registered for the exam. You would think that that would have been done day 1 or day 2. But it's just simply just lack of management from on the side of the school and on the side of the state government, because it is under the purview of the State Commission of Education. But I think with the pressure now, we're getting closer and closer to the actual numbers, and hopefully by the end of this week we'll have an actual count of how many people are there.
So to take that a step further, what are numbers? Numbers are mathematics. Where do you find mathematics most prominent? In accounts. I think the fundamental problem is that we live in a nation that is not accountable.
Yes, very true.
And so because the nation is not accountable, you would never at any point in time know the numbers of people who have died in the place, or the number of people who have been stolen, or the abduction, or the plane crash. Because our nation is fundamentally unaccountable. And so if you're talking about why we don't know the numbers, that is why we should be spotlighting. You know, the issues like the security agencies not talking to themselves, those are surface issues. If the foundation, which would of course come from the commander of the nation, doesn't demand for that kind of accountability from the cabinet, to all the arms of government, coming down to the security agencies who are not talking to each other, then we can't
even government agencies, period.
We can't know the numbers.
We're going to come back to the government and the military in particular, but I want to talk about someone who the spotlight was on at the beginning of all of this, but has suddenly gone quiet. Is the principal of the school who spoke up when there was a claim that the girls had been freed, and she said no, nobody had come back.
Yeah.
Why can't we get the exact figures from her, the names, the numbers? She is the principal of this school. She should know her students, but nobody seems to be saying anything about her anymore.
No. I mean, I think if you remember the statement that Major General Lukolade released, he basically blamed her for the misinformation, that it was a statement that she had given that they used to say that the girls had come back.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I think, I mean, to Adebola's point around accountability, there's a lot more that meets the eyes. And I think it's really not as simple as we had a simple number of girls came in, took an exam and went home. First of all, the school was meant to have been closed. The community assured the parents that don't worry, we'll keep them safe, let them come back and write the exam, even though they had closed the school. So they came back to write a particular exam between the principal, the state government, WAEC, and the military following up. Nobody can sit down and agree, or even parents. I mean, a simple PTA meeting in the school hall to say, okay, how many of your kids are at home or here, would have solved this in week 1. So I think to Adebola's point is really a fundamental issue of accountability. And I think another thing I'd like to emphasize is that this is not the first time girls have been abducted. It's been going on for the last 3 years, but this is the first time it's been done in such a large number. In February alone, at the Federal Government College in Yobe, 20 girls supposedly were abducted. Nobody has said anything. So I think because this is the first time that people are actually asking for information, it now lets us know how bad it is. I can almost guarantee you that Yobe cannot produce the name of those 20 girls. And they were in a Federal Government College and they were abducted in February.
Actually, they can.
Have they found them?
No, but they can produce the names, just wouldn't.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So we are talking about April in Chibok. In February, we still don't have those. And that's I'm just agreeing with your point about accountability. And we moved on from that. That's part of our problem as well as a nation. The government institutions fundamentally unaccountable. Nigerians fundamentally may be tired of just dealing with everyday issues. We moved on from Buniyadi. Girls are gone, boys are dead, what has happened? Nobody's talking about it. Now we're on Chibok, and luckily there's international pressure, so there is major spotlight, and hopefully this would help sort of throw a spotlight around security issues generally. There
was a bit of a back and forth between the spokesman, Mr. President, Dr. Doni Okupe, and Jim Clancy of CNN yesterday on Twitter over the lack of communication and the general sort of, I don't know if the word apathy is even too light to use from Mr. President. Why hasn't he said anything about this issue up until this point?
Well, sadly, because, as I'm just a commoner in this country, just an everyday citizen trying to make a living, I don't think that I have the title of Mr. President, so I might not be able to answer that question. You might need to ask him directly. So this is a question that you can tweet. You can ask him at the end of the show and say that Mr. President would like you to answer this question. But from a common man that I am in this country, I would still insist on the first point, which is the fact that we live in a nation, where nobody is accountable. But taking it a step further, I have seen nations where leaders are supposed to have some form of empathy. There is that word called empathy. I think it comes to leadership. The fact that you care about the people, and then because you care about them, you want to then lead them because you believe there is a bigger vision you have, and you want to take them to that bigger vision. That's what I know leadership to be. Now, that is absent in every sense of the word in the current system of government. And so because of that, I would not expect him to say anything. So if people are being disappointed, well, they should take a minute and think back to where exactly is the vision that they bought into and where that vision has taken us to. The moment people begin to look at those little other issues, they would realize why we're here. We didn't get here today. We got here because every week there is a new calamity in this country. People do not take to the street like we've taken to the street for Bring Back the Girls. And so because of that, the government knows that if Bring Back the Girls happen this week, next week there'll be a bomb. Next week there'll be something else. So every week there's a new issue that covers the last issue. Based on that, if they do not get a reaction, they just come and say, we regret, what's that famous line? We condemn them. We condemn and go on. And that ends and another one comes. Yeah. And so if people begin to realize that we have actually sold our souls, we've actually roped ourselves in something bigger. The fact that when the first bomb went off, far away in the east, we took it closer. I didn't think this was far away in the east. And we got to the street the way we're getting to the street now. That way, we would have nipped this in the bud earlier. and the government would have paid more attention to its people. And sometimes you say government, 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 and it looks as if, well, why do we all keep saying government? Because it's a big body, and these are big issues. You know, and the government is empowered to do this.
These are the times when they should show up.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
These are the times when they should show up.